Think about the word nirvana. For millions of us, that word instantly brings to mind a sound, an entire era, and yeah, a tragedy. But for billions of others, it represents the ultimate state of peace. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack how a single word ended up holding two such powerful and profoundly different meanings.
So let's start with the band. Back in the early 1990s, Nirvana wasn't just another group on the radio. They were like a cultural earthquake. They came out of Aberdeen, Washington, and almost overnight became the figurehead band for Generation X, giving a powerful voice to this feeling of disillusionment and angst that was just bubbling under the surface of pop culture.
And their reach, it was just staggering. We're talking more than 75 million records sold worldwide. This wasn't some niche underground thing. No, this was a full-on global takeover that basically flipped the entire landscape of popular music on its head.
What made them sound so different? Well, it was their signature move, these huge dynamic shifts, going from a really quiet, almost mumbled verse straight into a screaming, explosive chorus. They totally mastered this incredible fusion of super catchy pop melodies buried under all these layers of punk rock noise and distortion. And lyrically, they were talking about things like social alienation, stuff you just did not hear on mainstream radio at the time.
Okay, so keeping that loud, raw, aggressive sound in your head, listen to this quote from frontman Kurt Cobain. He said he chose the name Nirvana because he wanted something, quote, beautiful or nice and pretty. He wanted to get away from all the mean, aggressive punk names that were so common. And that right there, that's the central puzzle. Why would you name a band known for its anguish after a concept of ultimate peace?
To really get to the bottom of this, we have to travel back thousands of years, long before electric guitars were even a thing, and really understand what Nirvana actually means. So let's pivot from the band for a minute and dig into the original concept.
In major Indian religions like Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism, Nirvana is, it's the ultimate goal. It's a state of total liberation, a complete release from all suffering. But to really get what you're being liberated from, we have to look at another key idea. And that idea is called samsara. Think of it as this endless, repeating cycle of birth, life, death, and then rebirth. And according to these traditions, that whole cycle is defined by suffering in a deep sense of dissatisfaction. Nirvana, that's the exit ramp off of this cosmic treadmill.
The word nirvana itself literally means to extinguish or to blow out, just like you'd blow out a candle flame. And the whole goal is to extinguish these metaphorical fires that keep that cycle of samsara burning, that keep you trapped. So, what exactly are these fires?
Well, they're often called the three poisons. First, you've got raga, which is all about greed, craving, that constant wanting. Second is dvesha, that's aversion, hatred, and anger. And the third one is moha, which is ignorance or delusion about how reality really works. The idea is that if you can extinguish these three fires, you find liberation.
And the end result here isn't just nothingness. Not at all. The state of nirvana is actually described as one of perfect quietude, a profound sense of freedom, and the highest, most unshakable form of happiness you can imagine. Totally free from the chaos and turmoil of everyday existence.
And this is where we get to the core, jarring contrast of it all. On one side, you have the concept, perfect quietude, freedom from pain. And on the other side, you have the band, a fusion of melody and noise, themes of total alienation, and a story that ended not in peace, but in shocking tragedy. The quietest state imaginable, and one of the loudest bands imaginable, sharing the exact same name.
The band's history just makes this contrast even sharper. Their entire journey in the global spotlight, from the day Nevermind was released to Kurt Cobain's death, lasted less than 3 years. It was just this brief, incredibly intense, explosive burst of creative energy. The philosophical concept, on the other hand, is timeless.
And that really gets to the tragic irony at the heart of this whole story. You can absolutely hear a desperate search for release, for some kind of catharsis in their music. But in reality, for Kurt Cobain, that struggle for personal peace, for his own kind of nirvana, was one he tragically lost.
So where does that leave us? Well, we've got one word that now lives in two completely different worlds. As a spiritual quest, nirvana stands for a timeless search for liberation and peace. But as a cultural moment, it embodies an unforgettable, explosive era that was defined by both incredible passion and incredible pain.
Because of a band from Aberdeen, Washington, the word Nirvana is now forever tangled up in their sound and their story. Which leaves us with a pretty heavy question. Can a word that's meant to signify ultimate peace ever really be separated from the sound of such beautiful anguish?